This one snuck up on me a little bit
Me too.
because I did not realize there was an MCU show coming out this week. I don't know why I thought like the next big thing was Ahsoka,
Yeah.
but here comes Marvel's Secret Invasion, and I'll be damned. Just first impressions before we get into spoilers. This show is fucking kind of great.
Yeah.
And
it's immediately reminded me of Andor, but that's maybe just because now every sort of spy thriller thing is going to remind me of Andor because of how good Andor is.
That's what I like about this so much. The spycraft thing is really cool. Sam Jackson is like the main character, which like any other big actor, they wouldn't have probably been able to land him for like a recurring main character role in a streaming thing. But like Sam Jackson's like general work ethic is if it pays enough, I'll do anything. He did fucking Snakes on a Plane. Like if he's on,
I've had it with you.
yeah, it's just like when he'll do anything, and he works really hard, and he is a standout in this.
Yeah.
And a cast of standout actors. There's fucking Ben Mendelsohn is in it, who also I'm surprised they got him in this as well, because he's kind of like a big time film actor. And we got
Daenerys Targaryen.
Yeah, Emilia Clarke, who is I would expect to see her in something like that. And the woman that plays Queen Elizabeth in The Crown is in it, and she is fantastic. And Don Cheadle makes an appearance, and we're going to get into spoilers, but the premise about this show is who is a Skrull and who isn't a Skrull, and so like everyone's got ideas on who is a Skrull and who's not a Skrull. So like so far, what was the last MCU show that came out? It
wasn't Miss Marvel, was it?
No, it might have been. I think actually Miss Marvel, which is a bad example because I actually liked Miss Marvel quite a bit. But I liked Hawkeye good enough, and I liked Winter Soldier. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, all right, even though because of COVID, it had a ton of problems.
Yeah.
The thing that I also liked, it was like a meaty long episode.
Yes,
like
almost an hour.
Yeah, which fucking good. Like that's how you do a show like this. So all the music is great. What did you think of the before we get into spoilers? What did you think of the AI generated artwork at the beginning?
Like the first time I saw it, I didn't know it was AI, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, that's kind of all right."
I kind of knew because it looked like someone did on Midjourney. Yeah. And John and I were watching it, and it was like, "Is this AI?" And he's like, "No, they wouldn't do that."
There's no way a major studio with unlimited money like Disney would, avoid paying artists and just get an AI to do the art for their title sequence. They did.
Yeah, actually, what's really funny is that like one of the shots is like of Big Ben. And like clearly AI did the art, but they had like a guy go in and animate the arms moving.
Yeah, that's what gets me about this. Like they didn't. Like they obviously didn't just take the images the AI spat out and throw them into the sequence. Like they had people working on these to sort of tweak them and make them fit into the thing that they wanted. Like you're telling me Disney couldn't pay for like 2 more artists to just make the assets themselves?
Yeah, they could have done this shit in like 2 days probably. They weren't very complex images, right? And that's the thing is they come off kind of crunchy in AI anyway, because like actually I was really surprised the one shot is I think 2 hands together. And famously, AI doesn't know how to do hands. Like they always have like 10 fingers on one hand or whatever. And it's like that hand has 5 fingers on it. Maybe that's the one thing that a human drew. Yeah, it's like the one thing you can always count on a fucking human to be able to do is like, I can do hands. And the computer's like, oh, I give up. So we're going to get into spoilers for this. So if you've not seen it yet, or if you care to see it unspoiled, you probably want to turn back now and fuck off and then come back. Otherwise, if you've seen it or you don't, you'd rather hear it from us, which why the fuck would you? Stick around and we're going to go through it, talk about what happens. A big surprising event happens at the end of this, and the implications throughout are actually a lot of fun. And I feel like right now the MCU is kind of a mess a little bit with the whole Kang. Who the
Yes.
fuck knows what's happening with Kang? Ant-Man.
Yes, we're gonna find out when Loki season 2 happens.
Yeah, maybe Kang's a scroll. They'll be like, no,
Oh, God.
the 4 Jonathan Majors Kangs you saw, those are all
Those
Skrulls.
are all scrolls.
Yeah.
Here's what the real Kang
Yeah,
looks
it's
like.
Idris Elba. He's the real Kang.
Yeah.
And like, because Ant-Man Quantumania wasn't great, right?
Yeah.
Like it was fine. And like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness wasn't great.
It was fine.
We've got like a bunch of like mid Marvel movies just hanging threads everywhere, and we don't know what's real and what's not real. And is Patrick Stewart a fucking scroll, like literally Patrick Stewart in real life? So I don't know. It's like the one. It was nice to see an MCU thing where I was like, all right, you got me for this.
this has my
This is good.
attention. Yeah.
All right, so let's get rolling.
Okay, episode 1, Resurrection. We opened in Moscow now, as the thing tells us. Agent Ross, our good friend, is snooping around doing some spy stuff. He says, yeah, okay.
He's got his little cap on.
Says, okay, I'll meet
little
you
spy
there in
cap.
just a minute, and tosses away his burner phone. And he checks his gun, and he's walking around as Agent Prescott. And you're gonna have to help me. Like, has this guy ever shown up anywhere?
In another show or in the MCU?
MCU.
Not in the MCU. However, he did play Beric Dondarrion in Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
And I knew the second I heard his voice because he has a very distinctive voice.
Yeah. So Agent Prescott is in this safe house in Moscow.
He's doing the meme.
The Pepe Sylvia thing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, he's got all the things on the wall, like string connecting him. And he's got the wide eyes.
It's all connected.
Yeah. So he's talking
Where's
about...
my yarn?
So he's talking about how, like, information can't be trusted nowadays and truth is relative.
Which, by the way, everyone in 2023 is like, no shit.
Yeah. No kidding.
Like we get it. We know.
So he's like, there's this international terrorism conspiracy, like these 5 big events. And Ross is like, yeah, terrorism happens every day. What the fuck do you want me to do
It's
about it?
2023.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think this is 2025
Maybe.
because it's like MCU ends up being like a couple years ahead of what like our present day. Yeah.
So Prescott was like, look, what if I told you it was scrolls? It was all scrolls. Everything was scrolls.
It's that History Channel meme with the guy aliens.
Instead of aliens,
Scrolls. Yeah.
Ross is like, dude, what the fuck is up with you? Like, the Skrulls are our allies. Like, Nick Fury is best friends with them. Like, the Skrulls love us. Prescott is like, no, look, I got proof. He pulls out this like hidden, reaches behind his bedstand, pulls out this like tablet that has this hologram projector. He's like, look at this. And Ross looks at it for a second. He's like, yes, you make a very convincing argument.
I thought it was really interesting. Actually, he didn't look at it.
Oh, no?
It turned on and he just looked forward. Like he didn't even look down at it.
Was that an editing mistake?
No, I think it was a character thing. We'll talk about it here in a second. Yeah.
So Ross is like, all right, you know what? You've convinced me. I'll let me just borrow this. I'll take it to Nick Fury. We'll get it all sorted out. And Prescott's like, yeah, why don't you do that? Or I could choke you.
Yeah. Or I could try to go, which by the way, he's like, where the fuck is Nick Fury? And he's
on Saber.
Yeah. On Saber.
The
right.
big space station.
Which we already knew, like in one of the post-credit scenes for...
It was one of the older movies.
Was it? No, I don't think it was.
This was a while back.
It wasn't one of the older ones. I think it might have been.
Okay. It was after Endgame, but
maybe Spider-Man.
It was
It was Spider-Man. Jake Gyllenhaal destroys London.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The post-credit scene, he's on a beach and then he's not actually. He's on a space station. Yeah. Which also, we know that he's up there too in the trailer for the Marvels. Mm-hmm. He's up there with Maria Rambeau and shit. So.
And then Ms. Marvel fucking fangirls out over him.
Right.
Anyway, so Prescott is like trying to choke out Ross with this cable, and Ross just fucking shoots him. So,
wait, did we mean sword or saber?
Saber. Sword is the organization. Saber is the name of the organization.
Rakesh, get your fucking facts straight.
Anyway.
Also, I don't know if that's true. Someone fact check that.
So Ross leaves the safe house and he's like, look, I need a fucking extract. And Maria Hill's on the phone. She's like,
an extract?
Yeah.
A vanilla extract?
Yes, exactly. She's like, there's a fucking grocery store at this subway station 6 blocks away. You can pick it up on your way. Just fucking get over there.
I like how when he calls her, she has a little thing on her rearview mirror. It's like Agent Ross.
Yeah. So Ross is like walking through the streets and there's some guy like pretty obviously following him. And eventually Ross is like, I better start running now. So he fucking takes off running and like stumbles down some stairs and like runs into a building, runs up to the roof, and this other guy's still chasing him. He like tries to jump across the street to the next building over, except he like misses the ledge and like falls down and like
hits his face on the and then just falls down.
Breaks
into the street.
his back and is like, trying to crawl towards Maria Hill's
breaks his
car.
everything.
Yeah. So the other guy comes out of the building, like Maria Hill, like fucking pulls out her guns, like fucking stop, put your hands up.
Why are there people falling from the sky?
Stop in Russian.
Yeah.
And the dude,
which I think is just, it's probably something very aggressive sounding. You keep going. I'm going to figure this out because now I really want to know.
So the dude puts his hands up and he shapeshifts, which, is something that scrolls do. And it looks an awful lot like Ben Mendelsohn. And Maria Hill's like, Talos, what the fuck?
Oh my God, this is a Russian word for stop?
Yeah. Cyrillic's a hell of a language.
That has 5 syllables in it. It's a 1-syllable word. I wonder if halt is different.
Oh boy.
The things that will be in the oh, by the way, there's a podcast that goes up on YouTube. I have named it the Jedi Enclave. Now this is podcasting podcast.
Okay.
So you can go check it out. It's our full unedited show. This probably won't make it into our
for good reason.
Yeah. Oh, that's
anyway. It's the same word, like 6 syllables.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, can I keep going?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So she's like, wait a minute. That guy was one of yours? And Talos is like, nah, he's one of them. And the Ross that's lying dead on the street just kind of shapeshifts back to a scroll because that's what they do when they die.
Yeah.
Then cue the unfortunately AI produced credit sequence.
Was the music good? I don't remember it.
I kind of liked it.
I'll have to go back and listen.
I mean, I like the music in general.
Yeah.
But so anyway, there's this like empty clearing in the woods. And there's this giant bright light from the sky that comes down, and there's this ship that's just like emitting so much light because they didn't want to spend the special effects budget on it. And then like the doors open and this weird like alien figure comes out, and then the camera focuses and we see it's Nick Fury.
Yeah.
He steps out, and then you see from his back as the ship like lifts off behind him, and he just kind of looks over his shoulder. Like you never see the ship lifting off because again, limited special effects budget.
Well, a good way to shoot it though. Like
like it gets the point across. Yeah. So Nick Fury is not moving too well. He's
I know he stepped off the ship and he's like, oh fuck. Well, it's like me when I get out of bed in the morning. Like, okay, so like I'm mid-30s now, and I always thought that people were just kind of like old people. I mean, like people in their 40s were always just like, oh, I'm achy and blah blah blah. I'm just like, stop bitching about that. And then like mid-30s, I get out of bed, my knee hurts. I'm like, oh, I get it now. James says I love the music.
So I think it's a combination of Nick Fury being old now and also not being used to Earth's gravity.
Right. Yeah. Because I imagine on Saber it's probably a little less. Yeah.
So Maria Hill drives out and meets him, and they have a hug, and they go back to another Shield safe house, not Prescott's, where Nick goes up to the roof to talk to Talos, and he's like, yeah, that fucking glowy ass plant that comes from your planet, right? Because it sure didn't grow on ours. And Talos is like, yeah, my wife brought the seed with us, and it's adapted to Earth pretty well. Mm-hmm. And then they have this little tender moment because Talos's wife is dead.
Okay, so like Nick Fury could have walked up to him, shook his hand, and said, "I'm sorry," and it would have been the most emoting I've seen from Nick Fury. I would have been like, "Yeah, shit, man, you're getting soft." He does the customary scroll thing where they touch foreheads. And I was like,
oh shit,
damn. Yeah. Like Nick Fury can actually show affection to people he cares about. Cause I mean, what do we know about Nick Fury other than
he's wisecracking, he kicks ass
and likes to, we'll probably kill you if you piss him off. Like it was really nice to see this moment where it was like, oh, they're like dude bros.
Yeah, I mean, they've been friends for like 30 years.
Yeah. It was nice. It was nice to see some emoting from that character.
So Nick is like, yeah, I'm really sorry about your wife. Let's talk about Gravik. Talos is like, actually, let's talk about you for a second.
Yeah.
Because we had a deal. Like the Skrulls would help you do your shit, and you would help us find a new planet with Carol Danvers, and that's been a whole thing. But after the blip, you and Carol kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
And also my daughter Guy is gone.
Yeah.
Like we don't know where the fuck she is. Also, I was kind of kicked off our leadership council. So
Scroll politics has changed a lot since the last time we spoke. Yeah, I thought it was. I totally get a thing that kind of pops up throughout is how Nick Fury, after the blip, kind of has an existential crisis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to know if Carol Danvers' reason is just that she's too busy.
I think that's closer. Because like Nick Fury's thing, I could absolutely believe he's the type of person who just kind of wins at everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like every time we see him prior to Infinity War,
he's just always stopping it right at the last minute.
He stops the bad guy. He wins every single time.
Yeah.
And then Infinity War happens and he crumbles to dust.
Not only did he not stop them, he was one of the victims.
He is there to realize just in time, oh shit, we failed.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and he just has that enduring memory of having failed. And then I'm here now.
Yeah. And getting cut off right before he says the word fuck.
Yeah.
Like
that does things to a man.
Yeah. It would fuck me up too.
So they go inside. Maria Hill is talking about how Gravik, the new Skrull who took Talos's seat on the council, is building this sort of resistance/terrorist movement out of the young angry Skrulls who just want a planet.
Yes.
Gravik is also somewhere in Russia, conveniently. He and his people are hiding out at an old nuclear plant because Skrulls are immune to radiation.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of old nuclear plants that aren't on the books anywhere.
So like they hang out at Chernobyl. Everything will be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Chernobyl though, because everyone knows
that's
where
in
Chernobyl
Ukraine.
is. Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Not Russian yet. Hopefully never.
Hopefully never. Yes. So Prescott, before he died, had discovered that the Skrulls were intending to blow up a dirty bomb in Moscow and blame it on this American group, Americans Against Russia.
Yeah, that was one of the points that what's his name made at the beginning when he was doing his conspiracy thing, was that you have all these unrelated terrorist organizations that seemed like they were doing random acts of violence, but he put it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of their tactic, is that they have terrorist fronts so that you can't really tell like where they're coming from. Like one's an American group and one's a Russian group or whatever, or like a.
I mean, they're shapeshifters. They can look like anyone
right.
and do anything.
Yeah.
So there's also a couple days ago, the same night Prescott died, some of Gravik's buddies raided a weapons cache in Kazakhstan, and Talos is like, okay, look, if Gravik pulls this off, like there aren't going to be any humans left. Like you're just going to blow each other up. The whole planet's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Nick Fury is like, well, shit, I got to think about this. Let me go take a walk at night as a black man.
By himself in Russia.
By himself in Moscow.
Yeah.
Surely nothing can go wrong here.
To be fair, knowing why he does this, to be fair, that could not have been his intention. It
makes sense in retrospect.
It makes sense in retrospect, but also if that wasn't his plan, what happens? He still probably would have been fine.
Yeah, probably. Meanwhile, in Washington, Rhodey is walking through the White House talking to the president.
Yep.
He's like, yeah, so Nick Fury left Saber and we have no idea where he is. And don't get mad, but we know Maria Hill sent him a message right before he left Saber. And we also don't know where she is. The president is like,
fuck,
do something about this, please. Yeah. And Rhodey's like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right on it.
So different president than, what is that? Iron Man 3, I think, is where we see the president.
Maybe.
Different guy there. So it's kind of a neat thing that throughout, in this scene where they're in the White House, you see a bunch of American presidents in portrait. But like there's a certain point where MCU history diverges.
Yeah.
So like,
I think the last one they show is Reagan.
Yeah. So like, thank God, like Trump never happened in the MCU. Yeah. In the comics, Barack Obama did, but he was a Skrull, which I think is fucking hilarious. I guess in the comics, Obama and McCain were both Skrulls.
Oh, that's fun.
Which it was like, okay.
It's like the Simpsons election parody from back in the day.
Yeah. So like now we're on the guy after. It must be like at least 2 terms after Iron Man 3.
Okay.
I can't remember the guy's name.
I have not paid that close attention to the president in the MCU.
Is he a Skrull?
Maybe.
Probably. I don't know. Actually, I think Don Cheadle might be a Skrull.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, we go back to Moscow. Things are going wrong. Mm-hmm. So Nick Fury is walking around and he notices.
This is so weird.
There's a bunch of people who are paying a suspicious amount of attention.
Yeah, like that one woman's like sticking her tongue in this guy's mouth, but like looking at him in the face, and then he's like, "Oh God!"
And then he like walks down the street, and like this rainbow pattern ball goes bouncing. And there's this little girl who runs out to grab it. And then she looks directly at him.
It was like the movie It.
Yeah.
Just out of fucking Pennywise, out of fucking nowhere with a bouncy ball. It's like, what the fuck, man?
So he's kind of like watching her go away, and something gets grabbed from behind. A bag gets pulled over his head, and he gets hustled
thrown in a van. Yeah.
The next thing we know, there's a British woman saying, "Well, you know, this is either Nick Fury or it's some other black man who likes to walk around Moscow at night.
Yeah.
So let's pull the fucking bag off and see. Oh, hey, Nick, how you doing?" Yeah. Nick's like, "Hey, Sonia, how are you been? How's things?" And she's like, "Okay, you ruffians can go now. I need to talk to my old friend Nick Fury."
They have this funny bit where she like he gives a compliment to her henchman, and she's like, "They did a good job. They're fucking idiots.
They're usually mediocre. What do you mean extraordinary?"
Yeah, so this is the actor that plays Queen Elizabeth in one of the timelines in The Crown. It was fantastic, a fantastic actor.
Yeah, she's delightful.
Yeah.
So, where are we?
Mike Zero and the Phantom Menace are scrolls.
So Sonia's like,
the terrorist ones.
Hey Nick, you want a drink? And Nick's like, "I would love a drink, Sonia." So while she's over, messing with the wet bar,
drink. Yeah,
he like is admiring the clocks that are on her wall, and he surreptitiously runs his thumb over this owl statue, just doing something.
Yeah, it clearly puts a little thing on its eye. I thought it was interesting. She's talking about how they like in the safe house where they are or whatever, that they put up a clock. Whoever is in charge there, I guess, puts up a clock when they leave the circus, she says, which is really funny because MI6, I guess the headquarters is in a plaza or something called the Circus or something. So like they call MI6 the Circus in England,
okay, sure.
which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So like a room full of fucking clocks. Captain Hook would not like this room. Mm-hmm. A lot of clocks.
So anyways, Sonia offers him a drink, and Nick's like, "Bitch, I like bourbon." She's like, "Yes, but I'm very mad at you because you still haven't apologized for destroying my flat.
Therefore, you get to drink the shit Daniel and Chris drank when they were in college, which is the cheapest shit ever run through a Brita filter. Here, have fun." Which, by the way, I thought it was really funny when she was like, "You destroyed my really expensive flat." And what she meant by that was all of London.
Yes.
Because of what happens in No Way Home.
So she's like, "All right, why the fuck are you here?" Nick's like, "I'm here for the same reason you are. I'm trying to stop the Skrulls from blowing up the world. Do you know anything about this raid in Kazakhstan?" She's like, "No, I don't know anything." He's like, "You're fucking lying to me. Why are you lying to me?"
That's bullshit.
She's like, "Look, if you were still on top of your game, you would already know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like the blip just fucking ruined your confidence. I don't even know what you're doing here anymore." Nick is like, "I know the Skrulls better than anyone else. Like we can kind of work each other, like help each other out here."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I don't know if I want to work with you because you're kind of old and busted right now. Like my fucking mediocre thugs were able to just kidnap you off the street." And he's like, "But I was using them to get to you."
Yeah, which was really obvious. Like I think he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Also, they make a point to develop this character. Like she's apparently kind of a war hawk. Like her thing is,
we're gonna get there.
Okay.
We're going to get there. So she's like, "Look, I can't help you. I'll just have my guys drive you home." Nick's like, "No, it's cool. I'll walk. But if you remember anything about Kazakhstan, give me a call." Meanwhile, 300 miles outside of Moscow, kilometers, not miles, sorry. This dude walks up to this like gate that has a couple of like Russian military guards there. And they're like, "The fuck you doing here?" And he's like, I just want a home in my own skin." And this car drives up, and who should step out but, Daenerys Targaryen. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "Fucking show me your true form." And he turns into a Skrull, and she's like, "Ah, nice. Come on in."
Yeah.
So they get in the car.
Your face is pretty. You can come in. We might need to hit some of these next points kind of quick.
Yeah, okay. So they get to the Skrull base, which is, of course, in an old nuclear plant with like wreckage and shit everywhere. She's like, "Yeah, there's like 500 Skrulls here, but only a few of them are warriors. And that we practice staying human so that we can, practice blending in and also to save the special effects budget.
Yeah, but and also I guess the longer they stay in their human form, the more connected they are to that person's memories or something.
Or something like that.
Or no, it's harder for other scrolls to detect them and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So she goes into a locked room. She leaves the other guy behind. There's a bunch of like humans being like chained up and like kept unconscious, and there's this
little laser beams, which is from Captain Marvel. They do the same thing to Brie Larson, to Carol Danvers. Sorry, so don't want Mike Zero popping at me like Brie Larson.
So there's this scroll like giving this loyalty oath, and then they bring up this American terrorist guy, and he like takes his face and then takes his memories, and like they keep him paralyzed in the thing. Oh, while there's this shadowy figure watching from above.
Yeah. Gravik, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. So back at the safe house, Nick, Maria Hill, and Talos are watching on the hidden camera that he put on the owl statue as Sonya talks to her boss about, you know, all the shit that's going on and how Gravik's going to blow up the world. The threat is bombs, which are being put together by Vasily Poprishchin right there in...
Nothing.
Okay.
This is a very Russian sounding name. Why do they have so many syllables in all their words? I don't understand.
I assume it makes sense in Cyrillic.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sonya's like her boss says, fucking great. Go fucking, you know who this guy is, go fucking knock over his base and kill everybody. And she's like, I'll do that. But first I'm going to wait for the Skrulls to pick their stuff up so that I can follow them back to their base. And Nick is like, all right, so here's what we do. We just go knock over Poprishchin's place. Maria's like, isn't there gonna be MI6 there? And he's like, yeah, we'll knock them out.
We'll kick their ass.
Talos is like, you sure you want to take on MI6? And Nick Fury is like, look, Sonya is a little bit of a war hawk, as you said. She's going to destroy everybody who has even heard of a Skrull. Like she believes in scorched earth here. Like we're gonna have to hurt a few people in order to get to Gravik's people.
Chancellor, MI6 are our speciality.
Yes. So at the Skrull compound, Gravik is having some coffee, and his dude comes in and says, yeah, we're all ready to go. We're all ready to die for the cause and for you, which are the same thing. Gravik's like, bitch, the cause is to give us a home. I don't fucking matter.
Yeah.
So Gravik's guy, Pagan, brings Daenerys Targaryen with him, and he's like, here, you're going to go to Moscow, you're going to talk to Poprishchin, you're going to give him this money, he's going to give you some stuff, just bring it to the safe house. Easy. And he like gives her a rather significant look before she leaves.
Yeah, she's like driving off.
Yeah. So Daenerys goes to Poprishchin, like gives him the money, gets the stuff, walks out. Nick Fury and Talos both sneak into the back of Poprishchin's place, and Poprishchin finds them. He's like, what the fuck are you guys doing here? Like, we're actually looking for some answers, Nick Fury says as he unholsters his gun.
Yeah.
Poprishchin's like,
there's a little bit of Pulp Fiction in this, by the way. It was like, this takes me back.
So Poprishchin is like, I would love to talk to you, but I'm actually about to meet my wife somewhere. And Talos is like, you don't fucking have a wife. She lives in Miami with a soccer player, you fucking loser.
I fucked your wife. I know you don't have a wife anymore.
And Nick is like, okay, that's your first lie. Nobody gets two.
I like this line from him. Yeah. It's like, everyone gets one, nobody gets two. And it's like, that would intimidate the fuck out of me. Like,
it's like, all right, so where's the dirty bomb? And Poprishchin's like, I don't know what a dirty bomb is. What the fuck are you talking? And Nick is like, motherfucker, that was two. I just told you nobody gets two. It's like, what? Are you going to shoot me? And Nick is like, maybe. And Talos fucking cold clocks him from behind, but not before he beats the shit out of you.
Yeah. I like how there for a second, Nick Fury is like, maybe I will shoot you.
Yeah.
just to make this conversation end.
So turns out Poprishchin's a Skrull, and he and Talos fight, and Talos is like, fucking stay out of it, Nick. I got this. And like, it goes well for a while. Then Talos gets his butt kicked.
Yeah.
And then Nick just fucking shoots him.
Yeah. He's like, these bullets aren't going to shoot themselves.
And Talos is like, dude, what the fuck? I told you to stay out of it. I told you I had that.
Yeah.
And, Poprishchin turns into a Skrull as he dies. And so while this was happening, Daenerys Targaryen was walking around with the bags, and Maria Hill was like, actually, I'm going to follow her. She seems suspicious.
Yeah, she goes and gets her ass whooped, by the way.
So they go down into this like subway maintenance tunnel, and Maria Hill gets her ass kicked, and Talos is there, and Maria Hill says, she went that way. Go find her. And like Daenerys is climbing up the ladder to get out, and fucking
Ben Mendelsohn catches her.
Yep, he fires a warning shot. He's like, get the fuck down here.
Confirms a fact about the relationship that I think I guessed from the beginning.
Yes, this is that Daenerys Targaryen is in fact Gaia, his daughter.
Who doesn't know, by the way, that her mother has died?
Yes. So he's like, give me the bags. And she's like, no, fuck you. He's like, your mother would want me to give you the bags. And she's like, no, fuck you. He's like, your mother, whose dying words to me were, find Gaia, would want you to give me the bags. Yeah. And she's like, wait, how did my mom die? And he's like, maybe you should ask the people you work for and give me the fucking bags. And she's like, no.
You little shit.
She's like, no, fuck you. And climbs out. She does like go into an alley and have a little breakdown. Yeah. So Nick Fury goes to a bar. Nick Fury walks into a bar and he's looks in the mirror behind the bar and
there's a dude at the bar who's
Russian dude is like, you can look all you want, man, you're still old and busted.
Yeah.
And Nick is like, give me a bourbon and a beer and get that guy whatever he wants. And walks off to meet Maria Hill. Maria's like, it's good to have you back, Nick. And he's like, are you bullshitting me? And she's like, why'd you leave Earth? He's like, well, I had to build out Saber, She's like, are you bullshitting me? And they have this discussion about how like Nick isn't totally all there after the blip.
Yeah.
And Maria is kind of worried about him because like if he's not able to go full speed on this thing, then somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Ominous foreshadowing. So back at the safe house, Nick has a flashback to when he got dusted. Gravik is pondering through an extremely dirty window. Gaia arrives with the bags and tells Pagan to, somebody was there, like we were being followed. And he's like, do you know who they were? And she's like, no, of course not. It was definitely not anyone working with my father.
Yeah. Or literally my father.
Yes. Couldn't possibly be. But, the fact that they're aware of us, maybe we should, put this off for a little bit. And Pagan's like, no, we're going tomorrow. So that night in Moscow, a cab drives by, picks up a woman that pulls into a parking lot. And it turns out that the cab driver was Talos and the woman was Gaia. Mm-hmm. And they talk about how like, Guy's like, yeah, it's happening tomorrow. There's going to be 3 bombs. There's 3 couriers. I'll mark the bags with infrared spray. You can track us and figure everything out. And Talos is like, good. This is good that you're helping us. Your mom would really like this. So the next day, Nick, Maria, and Talos are split up around the park looking for all these bags. And they find the 3 people carrying them and track them to this like circus that's happening in this city square. And Nick,
Unity Day.
Unity.
Yeah.
Yes. And Nick
is that like a Russian?
I guess it's a holiday.
Okay.
And like Nick is overlooking this and he sees this girl with the rainbow ball. He's like,
fucking Pennywise.
Minute.
Yeah.
He starts following her and she like walks behind something. And then out comes the Russian dude from the bar. And then he walks behind something else. And then it's the woman who was looking at him while making out at somebody the other night. And then she walks behind someone else and it's fucking Gravik.
Yeah. Which, by the way, this dude is just transforming in front of everybody.
Yes.
Like, doesn't give a fuck.
Like, this is actually a pretty cool, well done scene.
Yeah.
Like, it's
creepy. It's creepy as fuck. Yeah.
It's nothing fancy. It's just like sleight of hand, but it works really well. So Maria and Talos spot 2 of the bags and they track them down, but they find out the bags are empty. Like, they were decoys.
Yeah.
So Nick Fury pulls his gun on Gravik and Gravik just pulls out the detonator for the bombs and presses the button.
Yeah.
And everything starts blowing the fuck up. It's not a good time.
Yeah.
Gravik gets away. Maria's like helping to pick someone up from the ground and she hears Nick Fury call for her and she turns and Nick Fury fucking shoots her.
Yeah.
And then
does a creepy smile.
Other Nick Fury comes out of the crowd and first Nick Fury like kind of smirks at him and walks away. And it's Gravik, of course. And Nick Fury looks down and like is trying to get Maria Hill to be okay. But she's like, it was you.
Yeah.
And then she dies.
Yeah.
Presumably.
By the way, Maria Hill, who has been in the MCU since
Avengers?
The first Avengers. Yeah.
She's dead.
Yeah. And like,
or is she?
No, she is. Because I mean, if she was a Skrull, she would have reverted back to being a Skrull. When she died.
Yeah.
So, because we know that Ben Mendelsohn's wife was the Skrull version of Maria Hill, and she's dead. So, like, Hill is dead, like, she's totally dead.
Yeah.
Which really sucks because she was really out of all these movies. Cool. She's a cool character. So we'll be back next week with the next episode.
Next week.
Probably on Thursday to talk about episode 2. Also, we're going to go see Indy 5 next week. We'll talk about that too.